Canada will agree a deal that's in the best interest of Canadians. Should not surprise anyone, including the U.S. ambassador.
Mark Carney absolutely humiliated the U.S. ambassador Pete Hoekstra for his dirty remarks about Canadians and their behavior towards the U.S.
Twice this week, the U.S. ambassador to Canada has been telling Canadians about his great disappointment. He has said, Pete Hoekstra has said twice that the United States had hoped for a bigger deal with Canada than just the CUSMA, than just the USMCA. He said they had hoped for a deal that encompassed critical minerals, steel, energy, nuclear, but it wasn't possible. So he said this to two audiences this week. What's your side of the story?
That bigger deal that's in the interest not just of the United States, but in the interest of the Canadian people is not on the table. But it's still possible. What is the fact is that Canada and Mexico have the best actual trading relationship, trading agreements with the United States.
Things got heated after Pete Hoekstra went public, complaining that their neighbors are ungrateful and not at all passionate about their relationship with the United States. Hoekstra's remarks were meant to exert pressure on Canadians and corner them completely. However, it only exposed the United States' frustration with Canadian independence, highlighting just how out of touch Washington has become after years of trade wars, tariff threats, and political posturing. Not to mention, Carney wasn't leaving him easily after that remark, and as expected, he completely shot down Hoekstra in a way that left no doubt who's calling the shots now. He made it clear that Canadians won't be taking any lessons from the United States. It was a clear sign that Canada doesn't need approval from Washington, and it certainly isn't here to be shamed by a visiting ambassador.
What is the fact is that Canada and Mexico have the best actual trading relationship, trading agreements with the United States. First point. Second point is that a process is just beginning with reviews in each of our country, consultations in each of our country, of how that relationship can be improved. And while those consultations are going on, of course, we're having bilateral discussions with the United States, so you may see improvements along the way.
Carney's response drew a bold line, exposing Washington's frustration with Canada. He made it clear that Canada has the right to chart its own economic and political destiny. That means no external influence or pressure from the White House. Carney argued that Canada's current posture isn't about spite or emotion. It's about strategy, survival, and sovereignty. And we've already seen that plan in motion, as Carney has already committed Canada to doubling its non-US exports over the next decade, a direct effort to reduce overdependence on the American market.
And while those consultations are going on, of course, we're having bilateral discussions with the United States, so you may see improvements along the way. We have the ambition, but a deal is a deal, and a deal has to go for both sides, and Canada will agree a deal that's in the best interest of Canadians. Should not surprise anyone, including the U.S. ambassador, who's doing a very good job, I will add. Thank you. For America.
Spoken like a true leader, trying to build Canada's own identity and strengthen its economy. Canada is actively diversifying its trade, boosting ties with the EU, Mexico, and Asia, and preparing to double non-US exports in the next decade. And if you sensed a little hostility behind this statement, then you need to know the context for it as well. Carney's tone was directed at U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, who, at a business lunch in Halifax, stated that his arrival in Canada had exposed a country increasingly indifferent toward its largest and most traditional ally. He blamed and criticized Canadians for what he called the anti-American rhetoric, the elbows up campaigns, boycotts, and growing public cynicism.
The thing that was probably the most unexpected, and we're going to get right into the meat of the stuff that we want to talk about today, okay? I'm disappointed that I came to Canada, a Canada that it is very, very difficult to find Canadians who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship, okay? You ran a campaign where, it was anti-American, elbows up, me too, it was an anti-American campaign. That has continued. That's disappointing.
What's disappointing here is Hoekstra's complete disregard for Canadian independence and a harsh judgment of Canadian identity. According to him, Canadians seem uninterested, even resentful of their long history of trade, security, and cultural ties with the U.S. Well, no surprises. If you try to guilt-trip a sovereign nation into submission through tariff wars and threats, you'll get nothing but a cold shoulder. As one Canadian trade sector representative bluntly put it, when you kick a dog, you can't blame him for snarling back. And that's exactly what happened as all Canadians united for their country.
I talked to a lot of business people. They are passionate about the relationship because they recognize rebuilding ecosystems and rebuilding the kind of economic relationships that we have.
Hoekstra may have tried to guilt-trip Canada, but Carney flipped the script. He made it clear that Canada's decisions, from standing firm against U.S. tariffs to expanding trade deals abroad, are about strategy, sovereignty, and long-term growth, not emotions or passion points. Carney isn't reacting. He's leading.
As some people talk about, we'll go other places. It's kind of like, that's hard.
And the best part? This is a wake-up call for the U.S. Hoekstra's old-school, condescending tone looks laughable against a Canada that's confident, capable, and unapologetically independent. Carney's message is loud and clear. Canada charts its own course, defends its interests, and earns global respect.
Plus, this one works pretty well. We've created a lot of prosperity and wealth, high quality, high paying jobs by working together on both sides of the border. Like I said, I'm passionate for it. The business community is passionate for it, but they're not very public about it.
Standing up for your country is an honorable act, and Hoekstra's disappointment is a clear indication that the public showcase of Canadian strength, resilience, and diplomatic finesse has worked perfectly. Carney has made it clear that it was, is, and will continue to be a strong sovereign nation, with or without the help of its neighbor. This is clearly a message for those who have been taking the nation for granted. The message couldn't be clearer. Canada is no longer a follower. It's a force to be reckoned with, and Carney is leading the charge.